As you can see, I've done a lot of preparation for this talk. I write tiny, so it's a lot of preparation for me. We're talking about the question of the week in the dojo, which is happiness the most important purpose in life? And the first time I saw this question, I was like, okay. I mean, people think about that sometimes, I guess. You think about, like, what's the meaning of life? What's the purpose? Like, why are we here? What does it all mean? And a lot of people go to happiness. Happiness is the reason. Happiness is the purpose. In fact, we put this on our Facebook, and some of you guys answered it that way. Yes, I love Leah's answer. It was, yes, happiness right now is the meaning. I'm pursuing things that I want to do, so I'm skipping meetings and going to class instead. Yeah, I used to do that too. You're not allowed to do that when you're a kid in the dojo because you get in trouble, but when you're an adult, you can skip work all you want to and come to class. And Sharon's answer I also really liked, and that's kind of similar, actually, your answer to what I'm going to talk about tonight. If you guys haven't read their answers, you should go on Facebook and read them. So the short answer to is happiness the most important purpose in life is no, it's not. And it is a great indicator of a few things. I would say that if you're happy all the time, you're either dumb or you're doing something right in life, or possibly both. But first of all, the question is happiness the most important purpose in life? Which doesn't that kind of imply that there might be multiple purposes in life? And if you think about it, you will probably come to the same conclusion that I did, which is that yes, there are multiple purposes in life. There's not just one purpose, that's it. You might decide, like, well, this is the most important thing to me, or this thing that I have, this thing that I do gives my life the most meaning. And I'm not going to argue with that. But if you say that being happy is the most important thing to me, I would say to you that if you are being happy consistently and deeply, then you are doing that which is most important to you. So I think that if you look at what is the purpose of life, or you look at, like, what is the meaning of life, this should be different for everybody. And you'll see a lot of common themes, like, for me, my purpose in life is my kids, or the thing that I get the most meaning out of is my work, or whatever. If you say that the thing, like, the meaning of life for me is eating cereal, like, that's not something that, now, some people, like, I love eating cereal. I honestly love, in fact, I love eating everything. I love eating because I am at the point in my martial arts practice where I can be totally present in the moment. And this is a totally random aside, but I remember, actually, soon after I started practicing martial arts, and Steve Brown was talking about being mindful and being in the moment, I was eating cereal, and I, like, ate cereal for the first time in my life. Now, I had been eating cereal for 17 years, but this was like, I poured the cereal in the bowl, and I looked at it, and I thought, this cereal looks good. And I poured the milk in the bowl. It was, I think, soy milk at that point. And I was, like, listening to the sound that it made as I was pouring it in the bowl. And I smell the cereal, and this is the cereal we're talking about. I take a spoon full, and I put it in my mouth, and I just go, oh, cereal is so good. I love eating cereal. And I was not, like, going out of my mind or kidding myself. Like, in that moment, I was so present to just the deliciousness of this bowl of cereal, and I enjoyed every single bite. And I think I digested it better than I ever have, and it was just, like, brilliant. And so, to you, maybe that kind of being present, being in the moment is it. And you just think, like, as long as I can be present, as long as I can be in the moment, whether it's eating cereal or whatever else you're going to eat, or having conversations with people, or, you know, being present with your kids, or whatever it is, that's it. That's the meaning, that's the purpose of life, just being in the moment. And I'm not going to argue with you on that either. But an important thing to do if you're answering this question for yourself is ask yourself, what is really meant by purpose? And you'll probably find that it is something a little bit deep, a little bit like it's almost hard to directly put your finger on it, but you know that it's something meaningful and something powerful. And then I also want to define happiness. What is happiness? And some people think of happiness as being like, well, I'm just giddy and happy, and like it's excitement, and it's like that, you know, maybe the butterflies in your stomach when you meet somebody that you are attracted to the first time, or it's that, you know, I beat my brother at this game or whatever. Like I was throwing front kicks in class, and Sifu actually looked at me and said, "Nice front kick, Aaron." Like whatever it is that makes you momentarily happy. But aren't there different kinds of happiness? And there are kinds of happiness that are momentary and fleeting, and then there are types of happiness that are really deep and lasting, and it's fulfilling. And it's something that is not just going to go away when you turn around and do something else. It's something that is abiding. It's something where the circumstances in your life can change, or even just the circumstances of your day can change, and yet you are still happy. And it's like you're unmessable with, because you have this place that you're coming from, which is, yes, I'm actually living my purpose or my meaning. And I'm going to talk more about that later on. So I asked this question to one of my friends recently, and I said, I'm thinking about this idea for a meditation talk, and I'm going to talk about like happiness and the purpose of life. And so what do you think is the purpose of life? And he says, I think that work is the purpose, or the purpose of life is to work. And by that, he didn't necessarily mean like my job as a video editor is the purpose of life. He meant that, you know, being productive or contributing is the purpose, is the meaning. And I think there's something to that for sure. Now, you guys have all heard me talk about, if you've been here for any length of time, you've heard me talk about how important my career is and my job. This is my job, is teaching martial arts. And I get to do this every day. How important this is to my happiness. If I had to do something else and I wasn't able to do this, it's possible that I could be happy if I had the lessons of what I know from martial arts. But I'm not going to mess around with that, because I know that I can be happy if I just do what I was put on this earth to do, which is to teach martial arts. I'm God's gift to martial arts teaching. No. But I know, like, I just know because I've always loved doing martial arts, and I've always loved teaching martial arts. And I decided when I was 18 years old that I was going to teach martial arts. And I actually never looked back and thought, yeah, but maybe I should do this other thing instead. You know, I never got to LA and thought, yeah, but maybe I should be a professional actor instead. Like, I just always wanted to do this. And so I did it. I'm doing it. And this is something that is very difficult for a lot of people, is this idea of doing something for your job that you love. And most people think like, some days I love my job, and some days it's the worst thing that I can imagine doing. And some people hear that and say, well, I hate my job, but I have to do it because I have to pay the bills, and I've got to do this, and I got to do that. And I get all that, and I'm suggesting to you that you're wrong. I'm suggesting to you that you could actually do what you love, whatever it is, and find a way to get paid for it, and actually just live your life that way. And so you don't have to just work every day hard so that you can go home and sleep, or so you can go home for the weekend, or so that you can get vacations, or that someday I can retire and not have to do this work anymore. Like this is it. You guys know I'm going to teach martial arts until the day I die. In fact, my dream, and none of you start thinking about this too hard, but my dream is to die on the mats. Like, I want to be teaching martial arts and maybe just be like grappling with Hassan and just like, he gets me in a rear naked choke and I just, and that's it. Or maybe I choke Hassan. But this is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna retire. Why would I want to retire? This is what I want to do. In fact, if I were retired, I would just go teach martial arts somewhere. So I might as well teach it here. And some of you say like, well, yeah, Sifu, but you're lucky and you found what you wanted to do early, or you're braver than me, or whatever. BS. Just know what you want to do and do it every day. And maybe the job doesn't exist yet for you, what you want to do, so create it or find a way to make it happen. You got to get creative with it. So that's me wagging my finger at you. I was also thinking like, well, what's the purpose of life? Well, if you look at it on another level or on another scale, isn't the purpose of life to create more life? And I don't mean like you have to have children, but sure, I mean, that's kind of it. And I don't mean like sex is the purpose of life. Some people it is, but I mean that, you know, if you are a human being, you know, for a lot of us, the idea is I'm going to perpetuate life in whatever way that is. I might not have to have my own kids, but I can take care of somebody else's kids, or I can do something that helps life go on and be fulfilling and created. So that's part of it. If we all just decided like, yeah, I'm just going to kind of live for myself and I don't really care about creating other life or helping anybody else live, like this is it. This will be the last generation. And some of you were like, yeah, that's why they voted for Trump, because they don't care about the environment. This is going to be it. This will be the last one. We're not going to get into politics right now. Living life with purpose and living a life where the stakes are high, where I'm actually doing what I love and something that I care about. So I'll just take me for an example because I know the most about me. If I wasn't teaching martial arts and it wasn't like my goal to you know, give you guys the best experience possible, or it wasn't my goal to help martial arts become like the thing that gives people enlightenment and joy and love and all of that. If I didn't care about it, really, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal if I failed. It wouldn't be that big of a deal if I didn't have that many students. It wouldn't be that big of a deal if I some days was just like, you know what, Catherine, you just teach the class. I'm staying home today. I don't feel like I'm gonna watch TV instead. Like it wouldn't be a big deal. But because it is, then the meaning that you attach to your life and the ups and the downs are so much greater. So when you really have a purpose and you know this is what I'm here to do and this is what I'm going to do, you will definitely experience greater happiness. I mean like the most happiness, and I don't just mean excitement, but I mean like this is just incredible, like deep happiness. This is it. And you will also experience the opposite of that, because you will fail and you will some days not get what you want, or you will some days just realize it's not happening. And you will experience this part of it, this deep sadness, this abiding sadness. And you cannot, as long as we're living in duality, as long as there is yin and yang, you cannot experience only happiness in life. There has to be suffering. And Buddha said life is suffering. And he did not mean everything's terrible and you should just die. What he meant was that there is impermanence in this life, in this plane of existence. And as long as things are in flux and changing, and as long as you can't always know exactly what it's going to bring, what life is going to bring, and you can't always control what your experience is going to be, then you are going to be unhappy. And you will also have happiness, there's no question, but this is like the nature of life and of the world and of being human. And that's great. We should accept it and move on. And some people just get very tempted to say, well, I don't want to experience all that suffering, so I'm not going to have a real meaningful, deep purpose. I'm not going to, have something that I just can't live with myself with unless I'm working towards it or making it happen. But that's just kind of a cop-out. So figure it out and work towards it. I just said that. There was a quote that we put on Facebook that I liked by H. Jackson Brown Jr. I don't know who that is, but I like this quote. Success is getting what you want. Happiness is liking what you get. So this is in the same vein of like, you are not going to get what you want. That's not what life is here for. And if you were just going to get what you wanted, then everybody would be happy all the time. But it is the nature of things that like sometimes you won't. And so, as the quote says, happiness is liking what you get. And sometimes you will get the great stuff, the best stuff, the tremendous stuff. And sometimes you will get the stuff that's kind of crappy. And what you want to have as your goal is to be able to accept all of it and to be able to be happy, like lastingly happy with it. Now, to be happy is largely to be content. And I don't want to confuse you or myself and think like, well, I'm just going to be okay with whatever happens. Whatever happens, happens, and I'm not really going to try. I'm not going to stress out about it. Like, to some extent, stress does not really help you, so you can chill out. But you can find a way to have something that you just must accomplish, or something that you've got to pour yourself into, and have it not always work out, or not work out in the way that you wanted it to, yet still be abidingly happy. Because, like me, look, we have a great school here. And some people, I tell them how many students we have, and they say, whoa, that's so many students. We're not even warmed up yet. Like, we're not even close to what we're going to do. And I'm not even close to the person that I'm going to be teaching you guys. I've only been teaching for like 15 years. So give me another 30 years and I'm going to be bomb. But the truth is, I can show up to the dojo and I can see like, oh, this person, like, we didn't get them to sign up, or that person is like, they can't come anymore because they moved to Jamaica, or this person, I can tell they're just not getting it the way that I want them to get it. And I can see all of that, and yet I can be abidingly happy because I know I'm working towards it. And yeah, somebody, is not getting it, and I can look at that and say, well, I'm not doing my job. No, I'm doing my job, and I'm not perfect at it yet, but I'm working towards it. And so as long as I know that I'm working towards it, as long as I know that I'm putting in the work, and I am attempting, and I mean like a serious attempt, pouring myself into it, then the results are not nearly as important. The results are not it. The work is it. So in that way, I agree with my friend who says the most important purpose in life is work. And it's the idea of if I'm focusing on the effort and not focusing on the results, then I'm going to stay focused, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep doing it. And I will achieve something great. It might not be what I set out to achieve. It certainly might not be what other people want me to achieve. But it will be something great. It cannot help but be something amazing if you really ask yourself, what is my purpose? What is the thing that I want to achieve? Or what is the thing that I want to work towards? And how can I do a little bit today, right now, to make that happen, to make that goal, to make that dream a little bit stronger? And so I guess what I want to look at is the relationship between happiness and purpose. I don't think that happiness is the purpose, yet I don't think that you should ignore happiness, because happiness if it's deep and it's abiding and it's something that just wells up inside of you on a regular basis, that means you're doing something right. That means that you are working towards something in whatever area in your life it is that you choose to be working towards something. So if you are happy, great. If you are not happy, great. Then you know that what you need to do is something different from what you've been doing. If you're fooling yourself into thinking you're happy, but you're actually just like, yeah, I'm happy, like it's nice. Stop fooling yourself. Get to work. And the work is on yourself. And the work is in the world with other people. One of the things that you'll notice is when you stop just paying attention to, am I happy? Like, am I doing what I want to do? And you start paying attention to, how can I be the best that I can be for other people? What can I do for this other person in my life or for these other people? Then you'll notice that happiness, it just comes. It's there. So one of the things that I always remind myself is that part of the main work in life is meditation. And if you want to be the best that you can be for yourself and for other people, this is very selfless, really, to meditate. That's what you've got to do. So we're going to sit tonight, and we're going to sit just still as a statue. And remember that every moment that you are pouring yourself into meditation, this is getting you closer to whatever that meaning, whatever that purpose is, whatever it is that you need the ability to focus and to concentrate and to be your best self for yourself and for other people. So if you start to think, or you get the urge to scratch or to move your leg or whatever, remind yourself, no, I'm doing this for the people. I'm going to sit and meditate. No movement at all. Sit comfortably.